Hey, good evening, everybody. It's Wednesday night. For the first time on Russ Explode Studios, we have a very special guest, Ed Williams, who will be drawing live for us tonight. So it's pretty exciting. It's something that I've been working on for a few years now. Ed has some phenomenal art, and I've been trying to get him to show it off. He's been doing it for quite a while, and it looks awesome. So I'm really excited about tonight. So without further ado, I'm going to bring Ed out. Good evening, Ed. How's it going?
It's going good, Russ. How are you?
I'm doing good. The week's almost over. So
Yes, hump day.
tonight we're going to be working on inking Willem Dafoe as the Joker.
Yes, William Dafoe as the Joker.
So I will kick myself to the curb. Everybody can still hear me and everybody can still hear you, but I'm going to give you the full screen and I am going to be the moderator tonight. So if anybody has any questions, anybody has anything they want to say or know about Ed and his art, hey Sissy, how are you? If you guys have any questions about Ed's art or want to know anything, just hit them up in the comments and I will be kind of moderating with them and asking Ed the questions, and that way he can answer you while he's working on this piece.
All right, well, I'm going to get started then. I know some people are probably wondering why Dafoe as the Joker, but when I saw him as the Green Goblin, I just thought that he would be a better Joker than the Green Goblin. Not that he didn't do the Green Goblin well, but I just thought Dafoe would be an awesome Joker. I think Russ would agree with me on that.
Oh, dude, most definitely, man. I'm telling you what, when I seen Willem Dafoe as the Joker on, or not the Joker, as the Green Goblin, I was just like, man, that this guy would make an awesome Joker. He's got the face for it, he's got the crazy looks for it, and he has got the laugh for it. I mean, the laugh that he did when he played the Green Goblin was just spectacular. And I've always
Oh yeah,
loved Willem Dafoe. I mean, he's a phenomenal actor. He does phenomenal work. I loved him in John Wick. I was so sad that he got knocked off in it. But he's just a phenomenal actor, and I just can't believe that no one in the history of ever has, at least tried to cast him for the role. At least that we know
right,
of. I mean, there's a lot of
right.
stuff that goes on behind the scenes that we don't see. That maybe he did get an offer at one time, and he was just busy with other movies. You never know.
Right. Yeah, it's kind of crazy, but I've had this sketched out for a while and been holding it, and then all of a sudden I see all these Defoe pictures as Joker come up everywhere, and I'm like, man,
Sissy says hi, Ed.
hey sis,
And yeah, we talked about that a little bit before, we went live. It's crazy, since the COVID thing has happened, I've noticed that Amazon and just Facebook, pretty much any type of social media lately, like literally I can tell my wife, "Hey, we need to get laundry detergent. We've got one Tide Pod left." And then the next day I'll be scrolling through Facebook and there's nothing but Tide Pod ads. It's a little creepy, to say the
yeah,
least.
yeah, definitely is.
Like the other day when I was on one of the live shows, I don't remember what auction, or it was an auction or a live show or something that I was a part of, and I was at the mines, and I was like, "Hey guys, what's going on?" I'm got spotty service out here because I'm out in the middle of nowhere, so I may drop in and out, but I just wanted to stop in and say, "Hey." Well, then, so like now for the last 3 weeks since that's happened, every time I scroll through Facebook, there's stuff about jackleg drills and mining equipment. I'm like, come on, I don't need this stuff. Work provides it for me.
That's crazy. But that's the way it goes. I mean, big brother.
All right, we got Mom's in the house. She says hi, Ed.
Hey, Mom.
And we got Diane Swanner in here. She said we are here.
Yeah, that's my mother-in-law.
So I know you had mentioned it before, what got you into it, but you want to tell everybody that's here that may have not have seen your prior broadcast on here, what got you into art to begin with? Like,
well, art itself, I've been doing since I was able to hold a pencil, really. But um, I took high school. I took art class and went through all the different art classes in high school, and I was doing oil paintings and pen and ink drawings of landscapes and portraits and abstract stuff. And in high school, I had done a couple different characters, just messing around with different guys, trying to come up with different ideas that weren't, there wasn't already a character for. And I got away from that and did the oil paintings and acrylics and all those types of things, and was doing that for a while, lighthouses and you name it. I was trying to do as much as that as possible. And I don't know, probably 3 years ago, I think it was, I went to my first Comic-Con and talked to some of the artists there, and they were like, won't you just try, getting back into doing comics? And I was like, yeah, I might, I don't know. And then I just picked up the pen and decided to do a couple different characters, and it's whirlwind from there, actually. So
dang, autocorrect gets me every time. I put being here and somehow autocorrect changed it to going. So, we'll roll with it. Yeah. I mean, it's really cool. I like hearing, talking with the artists, and, when I interview each one, that's one of the main questions I like to ask is, what really got you into this? And, your story led up to, you'd always been into art since you were younger, and you kind of dabbled in doing, thinking about doing comic books, and then you went to that convention and talked to another artist, and you're like, man, I really like this, and it kind of picked up the habit again.
Yep, and that's the way it went. I mean, and I told you I'm not a fast artist at all. I've always tried to take my time with my work, especially when I do the stippling or pointillism, whichever you want to call it. In which this one I'll probably do that too. I just I don't know. I've always liked doing stippling and have been pretty decent at it, I would like to think. And I'll probably just keep on doing it.
Yeah, and that was one of the things we talked about. Hey Trudy, thanks for joining. Hey Terry Rhodes, how are you? That's one of the things that we talked about, I guess it was Sunday with Armando, we were talking about length of projects, and when people commission an art piece to have it done, I try to commission myself at least 3 months ahead of time, if not longer. And it's a good thing for, people to do, just because it gives you as the artist a chance to see the piece from the viewpoint of where you want to go from. So if you have a week to do a project, you're going to go with whatever the first thing that comes to your mind, and you're going to put it down. And it may be a good piece, but it may not be the best piece that you can do. And giving you guys that kind of flexibility to have the time to sit down, do a few rough sketches and say, I really don't like that. I think that this could be better. And then you 5 rough sketches later, you come on this piece, you're like, man, I really love this. This really came together. I think this really, envelopes the piece that this person wants done, and you can give them the best piece that you have to offer. So, I mean, go ahead.
Go ahead.
And that's what it's all about. Good art takes time. So that's all I wanted to say is, good art takes time, and you got to have patience. You can't jump in and be like, I need this next week. I mean, it happens. It does happen. You have an artist cancel at the last minute, and you need a piece, and you need it now to get it done. But
yeah, and that's what, I think all of us as artists, that's what we're wanting to do, is put out the best piece possible. And I mean, that's the way it's the love for the art. I mean, that's what it's all about, I think.
Yeah, and don't get me wrong, I love comic books, and I love reading them, but it's a Joker cover, Terry. We're doing Ed is inking Willem Dafoe as the Joker. But I love comic books. I love reading comic books, but that's been the one thing that has always drawn me in is the artwork on the covers.
Well, go ahead.
I've always been like, ever since I was a kid, like I love Van Gogh's Starry Night. That was like one of my favorite paintings growing up. And that was actually the first painting that I actually got into creative writing. I started whenever we were in class. That was somehow, by the luck of the draw, that was the very first painting we were given. It was Starry Night. It had a girl with a lion that had been added into the Starry Night picture, and we had to color it, and then we had to write a story about it. And that was kind of like the very first time, and I think it was like 3rd grade that I actually delved into doing creative writing. And that was when I first got my love for actually doing creative writing. Hey, Lewis, thanks for joining. So it's that's where my love started. And so I've always had this deep love for art. We've got a really cool art museum in St. Louis that they have. I mean, it's massive. Like, you could spend all day there and not see everything they have. And so, that's something I want to get my kids into doing, is going and checking out art. But that's always been my big draw on some of the comic books is I'll buy like the regular to read, and then I buy the variants just so I can slab them and have that piece of art forever, because some of them are spectacular.
Oh yeah, me. I mean, I'm a big fan of the art, especially just other people's art. I mean, you learn so much from everybody's different styles, and I just have a love and appreciation for everybody else's art. Just so I can keep learning and expanding my own.
Well, and that's my favorite part too, is this right here. I love seeing the process that you guys have of doing your rough pencil and then the inks, and then, when it goes to color. You know, like Eve, I just got the piece that she did for the sketch for her painterly piece that she did for Xenonite Titan. And,
Right.
you know, it's just really cool to see. I mean, most people be like, oh, it's a really base drawing. There's really not a whole lot there. And I'm like, yeah, but it's the concept that led to the final piece. And it's really cool to see where the process began and where that process ended.
Right. Yeah. I don't know. Everybody has a different, process with the way they do their work, and um, a lot of it, is similar, but different styles. I mean, a lot of people um, use, I don't know, the like the brush liners to go from fine to thick, and I'm not a guy for that. Actually, I kind of like doing all my little lines, and then if I come back and see some that I think need to be thicker, then I'll come back over that line as much as possible or as much as I think it needs. Um, I've seen, and a lot of really talented artists using the brush liners and working really well for them. I'm just not one of those guys, I guess.
You mean you're not a CB Zane and you don't like busting out the fat Sharpie to do your lines with?
In some instances, depending on the piece, yeah, but no, not really. I mean,
It
I
scares
like,
me every single time I see him pull that thing out. I'm like, oh man, that's like a twitch away from being one big black mark across the page.
yeah, he is definitely a talented artist, no doubt. And to be able to just go into it like he does, um, it is like I said, some artists just amaze me the way that they're able to just flow into it with no issues and no worries and just push out a piece of work in no time.
So, who are you some of your major influences? Like, who are some of the artists that you look up to the most?
Well, with the comic that I want to come out with, I really would like to tell the story with the artwork and then write the story along with my pieces. You know what I mean? Jack Kirby, he was um, one of the artists that could do that. He would draw the pieces, and then Stan would, come back and write the story along with what Jack had drawn. And that right there, man, just amazes me that he was able to do that, the art well enough that Stan could come back and say, hey, I can see your story um, through your art, which is really cool to me. I guess another would be McFarlane. The way he never gave up, the way he pushed through, and where he's at now. I mean, it's just amazing to me that he has done so well for himself, and it's just really cool. So yeah, McFarlane and Jack Kirby, both of those would be
Well, McFarlane's a heck of a role model to have because he kind of paved the way for indie creators to step back and say, you know, I can do this my own way. You know, it's like that documentary. I watched a little bit of it. I haven't had a whole lot of time to sit down and watch the rest of it, but I'm definitely going to make time now that the book is done and at the editor to watch that probably this weekend. But, you know, he paved the way for everybody to pretty much say, you know, heck no, I'm not going to let somebody tell me how I'm going to do my character, how I'm going to do my book. I'm going to do it my way, and I'm going to do it the way that I love to do it. And, you know, I mean, that's just like the Kickstarter for the Spawn figurine. You know, it was probably over 300,000, I think, in the first week. And it just goes to show you if you have an idea and you're passionate about it, and you want it to be the way that you want it, go for it.
Right.
Do it yourself.
Yeah.
Put it out.
Yeah. Todd is definitely one of the guys that I've watched and tried to learn from with some of my steps towards what I want to do. And you never know. Eventually, maybe I'll be doing this and only this.
And Mom says she's bragging on you, and Lewis says your son is a super talented artist. I love it. And Armando, thanks for joining us, buddy. He said, "What's up, guys? Looks good, Ed."
Thanks, Lewis. Thanks, Mom and Armando. Glad to have you with us, no doubt. I appreciate anybody coming on and checking out what I love to do and seeing my process. I mean, like I said, it's probably similar to everybody else's, but I have different things and that I like doing different ways. And
Yeah, and if you guys are ever looking for anybody to do commissions, definitely hit up Ed. Ed also has his CGC certification, artist certification. So if you guys are looking to get a commission done, like this piece that he's working on here, definitely hit him up. I mean, Ed does have a full-time job on top of doing the art. I mean, he says his art is a hobby. It is a hobby technically because he does it outside of work, but he's still a great artist. So, it does take a little bit of time if you do get a commission through Ed, but it's definitely worth the wait because his artwork turns out phenomenal. If you guys want to see some of the art that he has, definitely go check out Ed's artworks on Facebook after the show. And you can see some of the Harry Potter stuff that he's done. He's also had a Thanos piece that he did. Sorry, I'm putting it in the comments. He had a Thanos piece that he did that he had CGC graded. He also did a Walking Dead cover with the Crypt Keeper. That's really cool. That's kind of been his go-to thing lately. He's been doing a lot of the Walking Dead remarks. One of the ones that he's been working on recently is The Mandalorian, and it looks phenomenal, by the way.
I got that right here if they want to see that. Yeah, they're fun. I enjoy doing those. Covers are hard to work on because they're slick, but they're still, it's a fun project.
Well, you definitely got a good preparation working on the Vampirella commission with the Dynamite covers.
You're right there.
But you also do other stuff too that I want to kind of mention. Ed doesn't just do, cover work and, just art pieces and sketches. He also has taken one of his hobbies is he takes canvas and stretches out like old comics over it and does a remark over it. And some of those have been really cool that he's been sending me here over the last couple of months. He actually posted a couple of them to his page. I guess it was earlier this week.
Yeah, if you go on my Instagram, Ed's Artworks with an X on the end, you'll see all my posts for my artwork, and the canvases are up there also.
So I know you did prior, I mean, years ago, because you showed me some of the paintings, but do you still do any type of painting at all?
Yeah, I actually bought some acrylics because I'm trying to think of the artist that you had on that was doing the Spawn covers. 2 weeks ago, I think it was. He was doing the Spawn half and half covers and told me to try acrylics on the covers because they seem to work well on covers.
Oh yeah, whenever Chris McJunkin was on, yeah.
McJunkin, yeah. So I went and bought some acrylics, and the Walking Dead with the child on it, or Baby Yoda, whatever you want to call it. That's actually done with some acrylic and mixed media with that. The what was it? The Bart Simpson one that was done with some acrylics. So I have been working with acrylics a little bit with these covers because they seem to go on and stay a little bit better than the Copic markers. But it's a learning process, just like anything else.
All right, I'm still
So
here. I'm gonna mute my mic for a minute because
yep.
I'm gonna bring up your Facebook page and show off some of these pieces while you're doodling.
Okay. So I'm hoping that they do take and do Defoe as the Joker. That would be so awesome to see him as the Joker. He's such a great actor anyway, and with his laugh and everything, he would be an awesome, awesome Joker.
And I am still here. Don't worry, you didn't lose me.
We're good.
I'm just my mic muted because I'm clicking away like a madman, and since it's so close to my mic, it's super loud.
Right.
Mom said, "So proud to be your mom. Guess your talent came from me, lol." And we got Staff Sergeant Raul in the house. He shared out, "Thank you, my friend." He said, "Wow, my fingers would have been cramping already." And Sissy said, "Mine too." And Raul, get out of here with the Jared Leto Joker.
The
who? But yeah, he is an awesome actor. And JL is here. Said, "Nice work, Ed. Your natural talent is constantly growing." Sharing this out. Thank you very much, JL, for sharing out. I really appreciate that.
Definitely. Thanks everybody that's coming in and talking, and I appreciate all the positive thoughts and positive words, no doubt. I'm always about the hashtag inspiration, so I'm trying not to get into too much of the stippling, but when I start, I kind of get into the flow of it, because stippling takes a while.
All right, I got your Instagram brought up, so I'm going to share screen for a minute, everybody. So it's going to minimize Ed for a minute while I'm showing this off. There we go. All right, so here's some of the pieces that Ed worked on. Here's the Mandalorian piece that he just showed off. And I made a joke about that the other day. I thought it was pretty funny whenever I said, "The child isn't on the menu, you are." Back up, zombies. Yeah. And then here we go. Here is one of the canvas pieces that he did with some. So basically, Ed likes to go to some of the comic shops, and he'll pick up some of the Silver Age books that are missing covers and stuff like that, stuff that people, may or may not appreciate, but it kind of doesn't get a lot of love. So he takes the interiors of that book and attaches them to canvas and does some of these sketches on them. And I think they turn out great. It not only does something useful with the comic, but it has some great artwork to go with it too. And these pieces are really cool. I mean, because you're not only showing off his art on your wall, you're also showing off a piece of history in the comic book industry.
That's the main idea is, make sure that something like that doesn't go to the landfill. And also, it's preserving it, and I got a chance to throw a piece of artwork on top of it. I mean, it's just another, fun thing to do with art.
And so here's some of these Walking Dead covers that he's done. That last one was Bart Simpson, of course, and then you've got the child, Stewie, Ninja Stewie. I still think you should have put the cool whip helmet on him.
But I had to make sure that he had the headband on, being one of the Walking Dead characters. So.
Oh, I know. And then there's Mickey as Negan.
Yeah, McNegan.
And then there is Venom.
That's probably my go-to character to actually draw. I really like Venom.
Raul said, "Sign me up with Stewie, homie." Raul, I think that piece has sold, but I'm sure Ed has quite a few more covers of the Walking Dead. So definitely get in contact with him, and I'm sure he can work something out with you, buddy.
The Stewie cover is actually still for sale.
Oh, it is still for sale? Oh, there you go, yeah. Raul. Sorry, I thought that one sold. That's right. The McNegan was the one that sold recently.
Yep, the McNegan sold.
Sorry, there's a lot of them to keep track of.
Well, they're quick ones to do, and they're fun. So.
And there's Gollum in the madhouse.
Yeah, just think if you did lock him up. What, man?
He'd just be jumping around in the padded room yelling filthy hobbitses.
Yeah, he would.
Hobbitses.
He would be more nuts. I mean, he would definitely be a little more crazier.
And Raul said, "How much for Stewie?"
Tell him to, if he can, send me a private message, and we'll figure it out. We'll get him a good deal on it, no doubt.
There you go, Raul. Send him a PM if you would, please, and you guys can work something out. So this is Ed's very first published comic book. So there's a funny story behind this. So Hooked on Comics asked Ed if he wanted to do a cover for store exclusive for them last year. This is the Volume 2 of Vengeance of Vampirella, issue 1, came out last September. And so nobody told him anything, so he did it on a cover. And they didn't tell him, it had to be on a specific type of media or anything like that. So they went to submit it, and they're like, you can't do that. So then you went to the actual comic art board that you were supposed to do, and then they told you it was a little too. What was the word that they used, Ed?
The first cover they told me was a little too risque.
Risque. There we go. There's the word. I almost said a little too racy, which is the same thing, I guess.
Yeah.
So yeah, they told you to tone it down a bit. So this was the actual final cover that was produced, and it turned out great. Ed does have several copies of these available that are not graded. If you would like to get one graded, he can have it. He can sign it and send it off to CGC and have it graded. Of course, he also can do remarks on them. He has done a few. I don't know if later on, I can't see what the next pictures are. I think there is one of the remarks on here, but
Yeah, there is.
there is. Okay.
Yeah.
But yeah, definitely. You said you had what, at least 15 of each one left, the Virgin and the trade dress.
Yeah, probably 15 or 20 of them. Yes.
So yeah, I mean, definitely hit him up and get you one of these sweet covers. This was his first ever printed um, comic book cover.
Yep.
I love this. Ghost Rider and Hellboy.
Oh yeah, yeah. That was I don't know, on a whim, just to be funny about it, and have some fun with it. That's
And Sissy asked, "What other Walking Dead are you doing, Ed?"
I got somebody asked for a Rick and Morty, so I got a Rick and Morty that I got to do. And then I don't know. From there, I'll just do some more different, characters. I'll probably do some more like I did with Bart Simpson and like Stewie, where I use one of the characters in the Walking Dead storyline and kind of cross them over to another character.
Hey, Steph, thanks for joining.
Steph's here.
Yep, Steph's here.
Oh, what's
So
up?
this is Loggerhead. This was the sketch that you did for the Loggerhead contest
Yes.
back a few months ago. The first issue just released, I want to say last month. I think it was July when it released.
Yeah. Yes. Pretty awesome character. Brian Silverback's awesome guy. And it was just a fun contest.
There's one of my favorite Walking Deads. I love the one with Buzz Lightyear in the claw.
Oh yeah, that was actually my wife's idea. She come up with that idea, and because I was at one of those moments that some of us artists get, the artist block, and she said, "Well, do something fun and do like a Buzz Lightyear." And I was like, sounds pretty cool.
I know whose piece this is.
Which one's that?
Vampirella.
Oh,
the
stick figure.
The stick figure, yeah.
Yeah.
Hey, you know what? At least this was a good writing exercise for me, because even though my art wasn't that great, I mean, granted, I used my finger on my iPhone trying to trace it out and send it to you because I was at work. But at least I got the word across, because I mean, it turned out phenomenal. I mean, who could ask for more? I asked for Dracula in monster form on the ground fighting Vampirella, both of them being battle torn, with some trees and the mountains in the background, with the sun rising as she ripped his heart out and the sun was burning him. And I thought it made for a great scene, because at the heart of Vampirella, that's where everything kind of begins, is the fight between him and her. And I thought this was a really cool concept to do, and I love how it turned out. I think it turned out great, especially with the lovely Authentics covers that are like drawing on glass.
Yeah, they're definitely not fun.
I gotta run. This is awesome. You have a great dude. Say hello to my little homies from us. All right, cool, Raul. Thanks for joining in, buddy. I understand. You have a great night too, buddy. It's called background for a reason. Psh, get out of here, stuff. No, really, don't go. And there's R2D2 with the sand crawler. And so a lot of the stuff that you guys seen, I'll close out of here. If you guys want to check out more, definitely go check out his Instagram, and there it is right there, Ed's Artworks. So definitely cool. Hey, Steph, I know you weren't in here when I was showing these off, but here's some of the other stuff that Ed has been working on. Some of these recycled Silver Age books that are missing covers or whatever. He picks up for cheap because they're in the dollar bins or whatever, and he takes the pages out of them and attaches them to canvas and then draws art on them. So they're a really cool idea. I think it's awesome. Not only do you get the art piece, but you get some comic book history hanging on your wall. What's his Instagram? It is Ed's Artworks. I think it's sent. Yep, there it goes. So definitely check out his Instagram. Definitely check out his Facebook page. It's at the same thing. I will put you back up there so everybody can see where we've gotten with the art.
Hold it up a little closer. You can see where I'm going with the eye and the nose with the stippling. And like I said, with stippling, it takes a while, but it's just I think a awesome look.
Thanks, JL. I really appreciate it. Thanks for sharing it out. Thank you everybody who shared this out. I definitely wanted to, make this a big deal for Ed. This is the first time drawing live, and it's a big step getting out there and showing off your work. And I think Ed's well deserving of the attention. He's done some great pieces. Like I said, he's got a couple of Harry Potter sketches that he did that are just absolutely phenomenal. Voldemort, Snape. I mean, they're really detailed and they're really cool. Which, of course, the originals are not for sale because his wife might beat you up if you try to buy those. But he has prints available for those. Like I said, he has the Vampirella, Vengeance of Vampirella, Volume 2, Number 1, that was printed last September. He has copies of those available for remarks, signatures, and for CGC grading with Signature Series if you're interested. And he also has, sketch cards. He has, prints of the sketch cards available and prints available. So definitely check out his website. Well, not his website, his Facebook page. You need to work on that, though. We need to get you a website set up. Steph went to follow you, and he said, I was following him. Ed, you got to post more than 3 times a day. Everybody have like 15 covers a day and 18, 19 commissions he cranks out. I swear that dude never sleeps.
I if I didn't stay at the government so much during the day, I would do that. But that other job keeps me occupied for most of the day. So.
No, I hear you, man. This week's been one of those weeks where I've been out at the mines and stuff a lot. And so everybody's like, hey, you've been online in spurts and like you share a bunch of stuff out and then you go dark for like 7 or 8 hours. Is everything okay? I'm like, oh yeah, I either have really, really bad service. I don't have any service at all. That's like when you messaged me earlier today. And I read it, but I didn't respond. Like I barely had enough service because I was at a metal building. And for some reason I had 3 bars of service, but nothing would send out. I couldn't even get an email to come through or anything. And so I was like, well, I haven't been cranky lately. Get out of here, stuff. So I've been, I just like giving you a hard time, stuff. That's what we do. Bust each other's chops all day because it's fun.
It does make the day go by sometimes.
Oh yeah, I mean nothing beats the Steph Wilson dance off. I mean that was pretty cool. Or the Jar Jar hater. That's one of my my proud creations right there.
Yeah, the dance off was special, no doubt.
Oh, I was cracking up because it was such a it was so perfect, and the hairdo on
Yeah.
uh I just had a brain fart on what his name is.
Star Lord.
Yes, thank you, Star Lord. The hairdo on Star Lord just fits Steph's face so well, and it was just so perfect. Yeah, Lewis, Steph is
Yeah,
a social media posting fool. That's kind of why he visited Facebook jail here recently. Probably wasn't for the content; it was for the amount of content.
yeah. He definitely posts a lot, no doubt.
Oh, I've been kind of hitting that threshold, sharing all your guys' stuff out there and doing these videos and sharing them out. I've been getting warnings, but I'm like, you know what? I'm spreading goodness. Leave me alone. I see so much hate on Facebook lately. It's like every other post is hate, whether it's the stuff that's going on with the virus or the presidential election or the whole movement stuff that's going on. And I'm not saying that I don't care about that, but I go to social media to try to see the good everybody else is having. If I have a bad day at work and I get on there and I see Steph's art, or I see you posted one of your Walking Dead covers, or I see a positive, uplifting post. That's the kind of stuff we need in our life. And that's why
Yep.
I've, been putting so much out there, sharing your guys' stuff and doing these live videos, because I really think everybody needs to have a little bit more positive in their life to see instead of all the negative stuff that's going on right now. And so I'm like, how dare Facebook tell me that I can't spread positivity with all the negativity that is being shared hundreds of thousands of times?
Yeah, it's sad, some of the stuff that's up there. And when somebody is trying to put good stuff on and you get blasted from Facebook about it, that's kind of upsetting. But you know, what do you do?
And then Lewis said, that explains why you either don't respond or take forever to respond to my messages. I thought you ghosted me. Yeah, no, definitely. If you guys ever send me a message and I do happen to chance to read it, I go out to the mines a lot. So we do like Doe Run mines and Fred Weber, and some of them I actually go underground, several miles underground. Like Mississippi Lime, I go like it's probably a 5 mile drive underground. So like I go totally dark for at least an hour and a half, 2 hours while I'm down underground. And or like days like today where I'm out in the boonies and I get like a bar here and there, like your message will pop through and I'll read it. And then by the time I go to respond, that bar disappears and it says no service. And I'm like, oh, I feel bad because I'm like, I know it shows on your end that I read it and then I don't respond. It's like, oh, what did I do?
Yeah, I guess that's part of it, though. I mean, that's your business there. That your daily.
Yeah, that's my 9 to 5. But that's the thing that sucks. I enjoy writing, and hopefully one day I can become successful enough to stay at home and pump out awesome stories for you guys to read. But just like you and 95% of the artists and creators out there, we all have our full-time job, and then we do this as kind of like a side gig. Because I mean, bills come first, unfortunately. Got a family to support and awesomeness on the side.
Yeah,
Stuff. Yeah. Well, and Steph, that's Lewis and your fault. He said we thought Russell's gifts were too much. Then he found Face App. So when Lewis posted that Face App, and you're like, oh, you totally outdid Russell. I mean, that was pretty much a challenge. I had to go and download the app and start making them. And I've got a whole bunch of them made up already, so they're ready to fire off at any time. So keep it up, Mister. Yeah, speaking of wasp stuff, I freaking got attacked yesterday. I was out at the coal mines yesterday in Illinois, uh, over in Sparta, Illinois, and they got this trailer out on their property, and that's where they keep the oil. And I guess whoever shut the trailer the last time left it like a half-inch crevice open. So when I took the lock off and opened it up, I got just completely surrounded by wasps and mud daubers and anything you can think of that had made its way into the trailer and got trapped because it couldn't figure out how to get out. I don't think I've ever ran so fast. I'm like, no, not again. I blame Steph for sending his attack wasps. That's what it is.
So now we're starting to get a little bit of depth on him.
No, it's looking phenomenal.
Starting to get some real jokerish look. I really want to focus on his wrinkles, though. That right there to me really makes him his face if with the wrinkles and making him into Joker. I think with those wrinkles and the tones on the face are really going to make him pop. And I actually pulled a Steph and put a towel on my kitchen table to set this up. And so I usually sit on my couch and sit with my family when I'm drawing. And so I can, be with the family and still do artwork. But with this one and having to set up recording devices and everything, I decided to set up on the table and take one of Steph's ideas and use a tile.
Is it a round one?
No, it's just a regular tile. But we're starting to get there now. We get some good character lines, some depth in his face. One thing I have noticed with Copics, and I do my stippling, I'm constantly putting pressure on the tip, and Copics can have a tendency to not like that, and they will volcano on you and pretty much bleed out the end of the pen, and you got to be careful with it and not do too much with them.
And that's a problem.
You got go ahead.
And that's a problem with right now too. So everybody has an art shortage. So you go to a lot of these stores, they're out of Copics, they're out of the Micron, they're out of this and that. So you have to have the supplies to be able to do the art or the piece that you're working on, and you get something new and you're like, I totally don't even know how this marker is going to react. So you got to, play with it for a little bit, do a couple of, side sketches or just, mess around and write your name with them because they all react so different to each other. I mean, each brand's got their positives and their negatives. Some of them don't dry very fast. Some of them smear really bad. Some of them do, like what you said, if you do a lot of pressure on it, they like to volcano on you.
Yeah, Copics will definitely do that. I've had a couple do that. But I was able to fix the piece that I was working on when it did it. So what's Steph up to? I know that's got to be Steph.
No, it's Lewis. Lewis said I need to post the face app video of Steph as Chuck Norris, and Steph posted a gif of Bugs Bunny saying, no. And Steph said, so glad you are online live, Ed. Yeah, and it's
Yeah,
really awesome. I appreciate all you guys being here. I mean, I know Ed, this is kind of his first live drawing, but I really wanted to do something and go all out and have it be big because, hopefully this is a something that we can see, you know, here and there from now on. I would really enjoy getting to see you live.
yeah. I'm once I get a better setup, I guess I'll be able to do more of it. And get I guess a permanent spot for doing my art.
Well, and the good thing is too is when you do the lives, they're and it's uploaded, you get the most hits in the playbacks because there's always so much stuff going on, and there's always people work weird hours and stuff, and a lot of people go back and watch the videos and comment and stuff, and it's really cool because if they watch the video and there's a part of the conversation that they wanted to interact with and they comment on the video, you get those notifications, and so you can interact with that person pretty much picking up anywhere at any point in the video. And it's really cool to have the ability to do this now because like with YouTube, people can comment on the videos and stuff, but not like the way that you can on Facebook. So Facebook, I mean, you can pretty much interact as if you were still live with your live videos once they're posted.
Right. Well, and I'll try my best to hit everybody that commented and try to, once I'm able to go online and look at everybody's comments, I'll make sure to try to comment back if possible. But right now, I'm actually got a good flow going on. I think with this one, it's turning out pretty good. I like where it's going.
All right, so let's see. We had Steph asked when I'm going to be interviewing Lewis, and Steph said we can both sit in Lewis's car, and then Lewis said at a drive-in movie, and Lewis said, or Steph said, keep your hand in the popcorn, buddy. Oh boy, what am I going to do with you two? And Steph said, I draw at my kitchen table too, LOL. And then he said, you need a towel, Ed. Pro tip. Where were you not listening to stuff? He just said he took your tip and he got a towel, buddy. Because
There
I
you
asked
go.
him if it was a round one.
There's the towel. There's the towel.
Thanks for being here, Peggy. I really appreciate it. She said time is about to run out. Thanks ever so much. God bless you all's drawing.
Thanks, Mom. Love
Thanks,
you.
Peggy. I really appreciate you being here.
That's starting to get some depth. Like I said, I'm not the.
Said, go ahead. Oh, just Steph said talking while drawing can be a trick.
Yeah, definitely, because I'm trying to concentrate on where to put his shadows and where not to put shadows, and it definitely thinking about what I'm going to say next. It's kind of like walking and chewing gum sometimes. But now Steph can see my process that I do compared to his, process that he does. I mean, he's phenomenal with his, I think, clean lines. And you laugh at me when I say that, but he does clean work and he does it so quickly. I'm more of a time guy. I'm going to take my time, and not saying he doesn't, but it takes me a while to get my pieces done like I want them.
No, I totally get it. I don't laugh at it at all. I totally get it. I mean, watching Steph draw for the last several months, and he does really clean lines. When you see him strike a line on there, not just using the French curve or his circle template, but actually, he's lining out a piece. It's like, man, I wish I could draw a straight line like that, because I can't. My problem is my hand twitches when I draw. And so it starts out as a straight line and you get like this heartbeat squiggle halfway through it.
Yeah, it's it can be a challenge. I mean, because like tonight, I am not as tired as normal from work, but sometimes I get a little too tired, and my hand does the same thing. I get a little twitch going, and uh, it's kind of hard to control, and it's part of it, I guess.
And Peggy said, "You're welcome. Love you, son." Lewis says, incidentally, I got an email the other day from Premier Cinema advertising private showings / rentals for New Mutants. It's tempting, but I don't know 20 people to invite. I'm surprised that your cinema is even having showings, Lewis. Our theaters actually closed down. So we don't have any restrictions out where I live. So we live about 50 minutes outside of St. Louis. So we live, I mean, you could call it, I guess, suburban. Where we live on the outskirts of town, we live pretty much close to the country, but we're still kind of city, I guess. And St. Louis County is still under, I think, 5 or 10% max capacity limit. They've got like just massive cases going on there, but we don't have much out here. And so our cinema was running old movies, like they had the Goonies and they had Star Wars episode 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and I mean they were throwing up all kinds of old movies, and it was really cool because they had the retro playback. And then they during the week they weren't open; they only were open on the weekends. And during the week they sold bags of theater popcorn, so like you could go call them up and say, "Hey, I want a bag of popcorn," and you could drive by and pick it up on your way home and have a movie night at home. So they were doing everything they could to keep people working. And I guess about 2 weeks ago, they they announced that they're closing permanently since there's a lack of new movies coming out, and that the retro really hasn't taken off. I mean, they were making money, but not basically with the restrictions that kind of were in place. They could only sit people 6 feet apart. So technically, per row out of like 10 seats, you could seat four of them. So with the capacities they were seating, they were barely making bank on what they were selling versus paying the employees the electric bill, the water bill, so on and so forth. So it's really sad, to see stuff like
Yeah,
that go.
that definitely sucks.
Peggy said, "Keep up the great work, son."
I will, Mom. I will keep it up as much as possible.
I'm kind of excited about Bill and Ted 3. I don't know whether to be excited or be wary of it. I think one part of me, I'm super stoked about it. So I love Bill and Ted growing up as a kid. I watched them 100 times at least before I was 11, 12. And so they're definitely classics in my mind. And so it's really scary with the way some of these newer remakes of movies are that are coming out. I'm kind of worried about what they're going to do with it.
Well, and Keanu Reeves is doing a lot. When is it that you get to the point where you're trying to do too much?
Well, and I don't mean to sound ignorant in saying it, but you know, with everything that's going on, I part of me worries if they're not like rushing it out there, just to make money based on the name. So we've known
Right.
for several years that it was in development. We've caught snippets here and there that they were going to do a third one, and it was always unconfirmed. Well, we don't know if it's really going to happen. And then, Keanu Reeves would talk about it and say, "Oh, it's a possibility. We're definitely thinking about doing it." And so people's hopes have been up for a long time. And then, like, here all of a sudden, in the last few months, they're like, "Oh, it's coming out now, and we're going to release it on video." And so it's like, I mean, part of me knows that they probably wrapped up filming, several months, before the whole COVID thing happened. But I just hope it's not something that we all have super high expectations for, because not only the nostalgia element of the movie, we growing up as kids, we watched them hundreds of times and they were awesome. But I just hope they're not rushing it out there as a cash grab. Just, oh, we
Right.
need money. We don't have anything else going for us. This is a big name movie. If we put it out there, people are going to watch it, whether it's garbage or not, just because of the name. And that's the only thing that really worries me.
Right. I agree. Totally agree. And like I said, I'm hoping that he's not trying to do too much. I mean, because John Wick, uh, I think phenomenal movies. Um, and then they're saying he's possibly going to be a Marvel character. You know, I don't know how far that's going to go, but
Yeah, I love John Wick, man. When the first one came out, I probably watched it like 30 times the first week it came out. I was like, this movie is so awesome. Because Keanu Reeves is an awesome action star. I even liked Constantine. So honestly, like before the whole Constantine movie came out, I had no idea about the Constantine comic book. And so
right,
I didn't even know it was based on a comic book. I didn't even know what Constantine was. It was literally, we were out and about, and we Tiffany's like, "Hey, do you want to go see a movie?" And I'm like, "I don't really know what's playing right now." So like we literally pulled up outside the movie theater and looked at the movie posters not posted on the side of the building. And I was like, "Yeah, that doesn't look very good. That doesn't look very good." I'm like, "Constantine, what's that about?" I'm like, "That looks pretty crazy." And so
right,
we went into this movie having absolutely no idea what it was about. We just knew that Keanu Reeves was in it, and that was one of the main reasons why I picked the movie out. I'm like, "Oh, Keanu Reeves is in it. It's probably going to be pretty good." And
right,
so I know a lot of people said they didn't like the movie because they don't think it matched up with the story. Because of course I went after that and I found out that it was based on a comic book and everything. I went back and bought some of the issues so I could, read up on it. And I get their point. Most movies don't follow the direct storyline. I mean, on one point, if they did, people would love it. But on the other hand, people would go in it and be like, "Well, I wish they would have did something different because I've read the book 1,000 times. The movie's exactly like the book, so you already know the story by heart. So with them changing stuff, it brings a new element to it." But I went into it having absolutely no idea what it was about, and I thought it was really good. I really enjoyed it, and I was really hoping that eventually they would make a sequel to it. But I don't know.
yeah, I don't know. That's one of those. They may, I mean, if the money's there, they may. All right, let me go up closer so y'all can see where it's going. Mm, Like I said, I'm just a big fan of doing the stippling, and I'll use other techniques, but with something like this, and I want it to be as, I don't know, detailed as possible in the face and with all the wrinkles. I'm gonna use stippling throughout this whole thing and really get some depth with it, and uh, see where Defoe as the Joker can go.
Man, I like the technique a lot. I think it has a lot of detail to it, and I think it's looking great so far. I mean, just the realism of the face so far is amazing.
If I can get someone to look at it and go, "That's William Defoe," I think I've done my job as an artist. And I know I'm jumping around everywhere, but I don't know. That's just I see stuff and then I'll just go ahead and do it before I lose it in my mind because I have that tendency to let my mind just go wander different places, and I guess I've always done that. So
Well, man, that's your technique. I mean, you know, you got to do what works best for you. I mean, and sometimes it helps to move off for a little bit and, work somewhere else to kind of take in the whole picture and go back and say, oh, I kind of need to put a little more emphasis in this area. And you can go back and add to it as you're going.
yeah,
Hey,
I mean
Phil,
that's
Allen, how are you?
as a writer, I know you've done that, right? You just went back and said, "What in the hell was I thinking here?" and then changed it up. And
Well, yeah. So, right, I find it hard for me to backtrack as a writer. So when I start writing, I go with it. And so whenever I was writing the book back in February and I did the first two chapters, I got down pretty much the gist of what I was wanting to do with the story wise,
right,
but it, so I knew it wasn't the best that it could be, but I was like I'm here already and I'm finding it hard to go back here. So I was like, you know what? I'll just write the entire book and I'll go back and make changes. Which I mean, there's a few objective changes that I made here that were really, really small adjustments because with sending it to some of you guys to give you like a preview of what goes on with the story. There was a couple things like, hey, could you emphasize, what you mean here a little bit because it's kind of left open to interpretation, and so I went back and made those changes because those are super easy. I just had to add like a sentence or a few words. But I finished the book uh like 2.5 weeks ago. I mean, no, I guess it was about 2 weeks ago because I finished writing the final edit Sunday before sending it to the editor at like 3 o'clock in the morning. But I went back last week and I read the first two chapters and I'm like, oh my word, what in the world? And it's like I got to cut myself some slack because everybody knows February and March was not the best time for me with finding out the mass and stuff in January, and then finding out it could be cancerous, and then I went back to work, and then I got in the car wreck, so I had a lot of stuff going on medically, and I wasn't all there between the medication and everything that was going on. So I definitely had a heavy edit to chapter 1 and 2. It went through a lot of changes structure wise, and I'm really happy with the way it turned out. I went back through and read it after I made the changes. I mean, pretty much I guess it went to about chapter 3, and then after chapter 3 you could tell like there was a big change and it started being more coherent and flowed better. So a lot of the struggle I had with editing was making 1, 2, and 3 work right. But I've pretty much flew through 5 through 10 because it was just goofy things like I transposed a few letters because I was typing really fast, or I left out an apostrophe or a comma, or just piddly stuff. And
yeah.
so yeah, I mean, it's it's a hard process to do.
Well, trust me,
And
I even with doing drawings, I can go and look back and go, man, I could have added this to it. I could have added this. We could. I think all artists can do that.
Well, and I've done that too. I went and sorry, my messenger was blowing up. Yeah, well, that picture that I sent Radar's daughter, I was like, man, this is awesome. I love it. And then I had already packaged it up and mailed it off, and I went back and was looking at the picture, and I was like, I totally missed a line here. And it just irks me that I missed that line, like to the point that I'm like, I need to go pick up that package and open it up and add this line in there. And it sounds stupid, and probably 90% of people wouldn't notice it, but I do, and it just irks me. And so I definitely, if I do any type of drawings like that again, I'm definitely going to have to start paying more attention to it. Because if you notice here, if you look at this picture, it looks pretty good. It's not bad. But if you look at his left arm, there's no line between his left arm and his side. So it's like, I'm like, how did I miss that? Because I had it lined out when I did the sketch. And then when I inked over it, I guess when I went through and was erasing lines, I accidentally erased that line and forgot to go back and add it. So yeah, so now that will forever drive me nuts that I missed that line.
So and here you are giving Steph crap about leaving out line, and you do it yourself.
Well, see, I left it for the colorist, and the problem is I was the colorist, so I still missed
it. Yeah.
That's all right. Nothing will be as good as Steph's cosplay picture that I drew for him right here.
You think I could send this to Steph's colorist and she could hook me up?
Yeah, I mean, if you sent her a digital file of that, oh yeah, she could definitely hook you up. Yeah, you can see anything that Steph hand colors, he colors himself, but I think Carrie pretty much just does the digital coloring.
Right.
Because like the piece that Steph did for Xenonanite Titan, he colored it. And it turned out phenomenal. And of course there's your piece.
That was a fun piece. Anytime that I can work on a character that there is no, you don't know what he looks like, other than what you're told, and you can elaborate from the story and create this character. That was just awesome.
Well, and I had a lot of fun with it. I mean, you guys, that was the best part of doing this book was taking my words and telling you guys this is what I want, but I want you to do it in your style and how you imagine it. And they're like, okay. I'm like, well, as long as you follow this color regiment and pretty much overall layout, I don't really care what you do with it. It's your piece. Do it how you envision it. And with reading comic books and reading novels and illustrated books, anything like that, even if you have pictures, anytime you read anything, you're always going to have your version of what's going on in your mind. And instead of making 10 pieces of different artists and different styles of the same character, I wanted to put out those different visuals of what somebody would interpret my character as. Yours was mainly overall the baseline of, hey, this is what I want it to look like, and you were using my words to draw out the character. But everybody took their own element. So Jason, his turned out awesome. And then you had Finney's, which turned out great as well. They have more of the anime style, and I really like the anime style of art. And I was like, this is the piece that I want you to do, because it had the soldiers running around in the background, and there's a lot of intrigue and mystery going on in this piece. I love it because it contains a lot of the story in it. It really does. And nobody will ever know how much story that this contains in it until you read the book. And that was what was really fun about doing these pieces for the book too, from my creative aspect, was saying, you know, I want you to do this piece. I want you to do it in your style, how you envision the character, but I need you to include this in there. Go.
Right.
And so one of you guys did a great job of incorporating not only what I needed story wise, but doing your own interpretations. I mean, just like Steph's piece is awesome because the nanites are free flowing on the body. You know, everybody else had more like a uniform. It was an actual suit, to where his was more shape shifting. And then you had David Fouts, which his was kind of like one of the old Shogun samurai, style suit. And again, you've got, pieces, elements from the book that you're not going to really know. There's a bunch of Easter eggs hidden in here that later on you're going to be like, that's why that's like
that. Yeah, that's going to be awesome. I can't wait to get the book so I can just appreciate it, because of the process that we all have been going through with it. It's just going to be awesome to have it and check it out and see how it goes. And
well, and there's a lot of spoilers in the art, and that was really hard from the creative aspect of writing the story, was doing these pieces that would tie into the story without giving away too much. Because, like I've said, 100 times before, my big thing about reading, watching movies or anything like that is mainly, I hate when I spoil the movie for myself. I'm like, oh, this is what's going to happen. And then it happens. And I was like, the movie was decent, but, there wasn't enough twists and turns in it. And that's one of the things that, like you were saying earlier with the jumping around, you jump around in your art. That's one of the hard things to do with writing book one for Xeno Nanite Titan, was the fact that in writing the story, I jumped around, because there's stuff that takes place in the story that goes on behind the scenes while the actual main story is taking place, because this is going to be his origin story. Eventually down the road, I definitely want to turn this into an ongoing comic book series, but I wanted to kind of start off with showing off, my creative writing ability and really emphasize the story behind this character. That way, when the comic book comes out, people can be invested in the character and know why he is who he is, why he obtained the suit, why he has the powers and stuff that he has. And so, in writing book one, there's a lot of jumping around that happens. And it's not like overbearing jumping around. Like, it'll end a chapter and it'll go on to what's going on behind the scenes, and then it'll jump back into the story either later on in that chapter or in the following chapter. And, after writing it and, it all playing out in my head, going back and reading it, it was a lot of fun, seeing those transitions and things as they played out. And, for me, it was definitely a huge win. I'm really excited. I can't wait to hear what people have to say about it. And I really hope that everybody enjoys the story as much as I did, and as much as I did creating it, because, the universe has so much possibility. And here in probably another. Good night, Peggy.
Good night, Mom. Love you.
Have a great night. I just really hope everybody enjoys the art, and I hope everybody enjoys the story, and that they're going to come back wanting more. I will say this. Wendy thought that the excerpt that I sent to her that I'm going to put out before the Kickstarter drops was a cliffhanger. The end of the book is going to be a massive cliffhanger. I will warn everybody of that. I thought about, whenever I went to write book one, I thought about where I wanted to stop at. And I wanted to write a little bit more than what I did for book one, but I felt it would take away from the story because this is supposed to be his origin story. And pretty much progressing from where I ended book one at, book two is going to pretty much fulfill him becoming Xeno Nanite Titan. Hey, Callan, how's it going? Thanks for joining in. So, book two, it starts off and book one ends where it does for a particular reason, not because I wanted to be mean, but because if I went on any further with book one, it would have ruined the setup for book two. So, book one will leave a lot of questions answered, but it's going to leave a lot of questions unanswered. And I really feel that that's going to compel, the people that are really into the story to be really excited about book two, because I'm telling you right now, book one will blow your socks off, and it's awesome in itself, even being just an origin story. Because I know a lot of people don't like origin stories; they think they're boring and whatnot. But I think they're very integral to a character having that origin, why they became who they were, how they got their powers, what happened to them in their past life. Because everybody has a persona and a mindset, and you see that in the character and the things they do, but you don't know why they act that way. And so in book one, I explain everything that's going to lead up to why everything he acts the way he does in book two and why he has the suit and everything. And so I'm pretty excited. I won't ramble on anymore about it.
Well, you never know. Once I have the time to finish up on what I'm doing with my character, they may run into each other. You never know.
Hey, you never know. That would be really cool.
I mean, it's been a while working on Relinquish, but he will come out, and when he does, everybody will know him and what he's about, where he's from, what made him be him, and I think it's gonna be pretty cool.
Well, that it's really hard creating a new universe. So I found myself spending more time on Google writing the book than I did writing the book, because every time I would get to a point that I had stuff in my mind. So, like the element that the suit's made out of, I had a name made up for it until I looked it up on Google. And
do what? Already out. It was already in there.
Well, it wasn't already out there. There was one page that had mention of that, and it was for something totally different, so it wouldn't have even been a big deal. But it's not something that I wanted to come up when people Googled that for my book. Let's just say it's very inappropriate. And if you knew what the element name was, you'd be like, how in the world did that person use that for their name for this page? I will never know. But I'm like, it forever ruined me on that. I'm like, there's no way I can use this now. So I probably spent a good 2 days. And I'm not one that can move on over. It's not that I can't overcome an obstacle and go back to it. I can't be creative and overcome that speed bump, because I'm like, it's too much of my brain is being used trying to figure out something new to replace that, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
Like, it's not that I can't overcome it and keep writing. I just know that if I keep writing, I'm not going to give it 100%, because in the back of my mind, I'm going to be thinking about, okay, what can I replace this with? So I would stop and I'm like, all right, there's going to be a break in the book. I'm going to, think of something else. I'm going to hit the Googles. And then, when I find something that I'm happy with. And so, one of the things I'm withholding from everybody is, the Wyvern. So the Wyvern, the name that I came up with for him I think is awesome. I love it. And I think everybody's going to love it too when they see it, because it's a really cool play on the name. And, I don't know, it's really cool. It's a lot of fun. And I really hope, that book 2 and book 3 can be just as much fun doing more creation. And I'm really
Well,
excited to see what you do with Relinquish too. I know
yeah,
we've talked a little bit about the story and what your plans are with it, and I think it sounds like a great idea.
yeah. Like I said, I'm going to work on him some more than I was before, and I want to kind of do it Jack Kirby way. I want to draw the panels and make the panels look like my story before I put the words and all to it, and see how that works out. Put it up close here so everybody can get a look at where it's going. Well, we're
Well,
getting
we're
there
at
slowly but
that,
surely.
do what, bud?
I said, but we're getting there slowly but surely. We're getting there a little bit, a dot at the time.
Oh, I definitely agree, Cal. You need to get some Ed Williams art in your collection.
Who was that?
Callan Hartson.
Oh yeah, definitely, Colin. We can definitely get together and figure something out. Colin's a guy. I guess we both met through Hooked on
Hooked on
Comics.
Comics. Yep.
Yeah, and I know Colin, just like myself, is a fan of helping out kids, and we both have done a lot with Hooked on Comics with comic books for kids, and that's makes me like Colin even more as a person. So we definitely can get together and work out something to get a
Yeah.
piece.
And speaking of that, I haven't really mentioned it a whole lot because I'm still working on getting the Kickstarter together, but I am going to include a CB4K tier in the Kickstarter. So I'm going to include a tier where the book's going to be a little bit more expensive than just a standard book, but all proceeds are going to go to Mark with CB4K. And then I'm also going to take some of the profit from the Kickstarter to print an exclusive CB4K run of my book. I'm probably going to limit it to about 10 copies. 5 of them I'm going to send to John and Mary with Hooked on Comics for them to auction off. And there will only be 10 of these books printed. They will be marked limited edition. They'll be marked, each one of them serialized from 1 to 10, and they'll all be signed by me. And if we do end up making the stretch goal to do the Xenonanite Titan nationwide tour to do the book signing, I will get all 10 of those CB4K books signed as well. But 5 of those I'm going to privately auction off from my studio, and the other 5 are going to go to John and Mary for their charity raffle on Saturday nights. And I feel that'll be a good way to help give back to Mark for all that he does for the kids, because I mean, I experience it firsthand what those guys do, and it's awesome. I mean, it's not just awesome for the kids. I know that everybody stresses about how much it helps out the kids, but being the father of a child that has severe health problems and going in there in the hospital with him, and when he has his open heart surgery, and being in that room and watching him go through all of the misery and the pain that he has to go through, and then them come in with a comic book or a book or a toy from Dollar Tree. It's only $1 toy, but it brings a light to their face. It makes their day. And the best part of it is not just the kids getting a break from the pain and thinking about what they're going through, but I can advocate saying that it helps us as parents out greatly, because whenever we're there, like Roderick's first open heart surgery, we were in the hospital for a month. We lived at the hospital for a month. We came home one time and stayed the night just because we needed a refresh and we needed to get away from things. And to be able to have a half an hour to where your kid's happy and they're not thinking about being in pain or wanting you to sit there and hold their hand and stuff. Not saying that I don't enjoy doing that, but you can't be strong 24/7. So to get that half an hour or an hour of time as a parent to be able to sit back and take a deep breath and think about and decompress from the things that happened that day while your kid's enjoying that toy or that comic book, it's worth more than $1 million. And I really want people to know that, CB4K is a great organization. 100% of the funds go to the kids and to the books that they send off. It all goes to shipping, because shipping comic books is expensive. Anybody that's in the industry understands that. And so, 100% of everything that gets donated to them through these charity raffles and these charity auctions, and, just straight out donating to them. And I will put the link in the comments, but, it's just an awesome organization. And as a parent to one of these children and seeing the stuff happen firsthand, it really does make a difference.
Yeah, I think that was one of the first pieces that you got of mine, wasn't it, Russell? Was a charity piece for CB4K?
Yes, yeah, it was the Deadpool commission that you did.
Yep, the Deadpool sketch cover. That was a fun piece too. And then
so I have that link in the comments, or for anybody that's watching back or anybody that's watching right now, if you haven't heard of it, check it out. I've met Mark personally at C2E2 last year in March. I've been donating to them through John and Mary's charity raffle for the past few years. And like I said, I got the honor of getting to meet him and talk to him about and thank him for the work that he does. And he's definitely a stand-up guy. So it's definitely worth looking into.
Remember the Deadpool cover, it come back graded, instead of signature series, they put it in a regular blue topper.
Oh yeah, I couldn't laugh anymore at that, because it's like, and it's funny because CGC makes mistakes, but it's just great that you did such a good job on the cover that they actually thought it was printed on there and they gave it a blue label. Because like you sent that to me and I'm like, that's supposed to be yellow label. I'm like, what in the world was CGC thinking? Like, how could they obviously not see that that was a sketch cover? And because and it says on there that on the description that it was a sketch cover and it was sketched on, and it blew my mind. It was really funny.
Yeah, it was interesting, no doubt.
Colin said, I think the three of us have watched CB4K grow along with Hooked on Comics, and it's been an incredible thing to see. It has been incredible. And
it has. It's been a great thing to see. As a Shriner, helping kids is one of my things anyway. But to have another avenue and with comic art to be able to do that, that was just even better,
Well, and seeing all the distributors and the publishers that have picked up, a lot of the indie publishers constantly are sending them skids of books, comic books, regular books, children's books. It's just a great thing to see, and it shows the indie community, that we're there to help each other out and we're there to help people who need it, and it's really great to see that there's that many people that have been successful enough in their career to take the time and the money and the resources and say, here's a skid of 1,000 books, send them to the kids that need them. And that's a great thing. It is. It's a really great thing.
Yeah, it's awesome. No doubt. All right. How long have we been up here, Russell?
An hour and 41 minutes.
Man.
So
yeah,
if your hand's getting tired, we can call it a night, buddy. I don't think we even talked about how long you wanted to go for. I was just kind of letting you do your thing, but we can wrap it up if you're ready.
Yeah, I'm gonna have to because I got to get up at about 4:30 in the morning, and that's gonna be here before you know it.
Oh, trust me,
But,
I know it. I got to be up at 3, so.
Yeah, and it's been fun. I appreciate everybody that has showed up to watch, and everybody that's asked questions and talked about it and carry on with everybody, and especially you, Russell. You taking time out of your schedule. I really appreciate it. I mean, I probably may have one day done this by myself, but with your pushing, not saying you were pushing me, but with your encouragement,
My
hey,
inspiration.
I'm here doing it for the first time. So I got a ways on it to go still, but it's getting there. It's going to be Defoe Joker. So
It looks phenomenal, man. It turned out great. So, one last shout out. So everybody, you can find Ed Williams at Ed's Artworks on Facebook, Ed's Artworks on Instagram. And we definitely look forward to seeing more live shows from you in the future. And I can't wait to see what the piece looks like when it's done being inked. I mean, honestly, yeah. I think without color, it's gonna look phenomenal.
Yeah, I got to figure out if I want to color it or not. Once I get all the ink slid out, I'll definitely send you a picture. That, and you can check it out. And maybe some little hints of color here or there. I don't know. We'll have to wait and see.
Yeah, and I think that would be the best thing because I mean, just hints of color. Because I think honestly, the way that you're doing the line work with the wrinkles and stuff, I think it stands just fine on its own.
I really, really appreciate that.
Well, you have a great night, buddy. Thanks a lot for being here, everybody. Sissy said thanks, Ed and Russell. Keep up the good work. Love you, Ed, bro. And Peggy said it was wonderful seeing you online. Thanks again. You are very welcome. Callan said, awesome work, Ed. Peace. Lewis said, have a great night.
Yeah, thanks everyone that showed up. That's awesome. Nothing but inspiration to do more work, do more art.
Awesome. Well, I'm going to send you back to the green room for a minute. I'll be back. We can chat for a minute. And so hang out for a second.
Cool. Sure will.
All right, guys. Thanks a lot for being here tonight. I really appreciate it. It was awesome after several years finally getting to be online live with Ed doing his art. The piece definitely looks wonderful. I will be live Saturday. I will post more about the time later this week. I'll try to get some more information tomorrow, but I will be going live with Brian K. Morris and talking about Xenonanite Titan. So the book is done. It's at the editor. We're getting there. Kickstarter will be coming out soon. I've actually been working on the Kickstarter for the last week. I've got the tiers set up. I've got the video uploaded, some images uploaded. Once I get the stretch goals worked out and figure out what I'm going to do with the stretch goals, I will be adding those in there, and I'm going to get it submitted for review. So I will try to get the preview up for that as soon as possible. I'm still shooting for a November date, but if things move along and I get this last piece of art in the next month, we may be going ahead and doing this thing in October. So I don't know. We'll see what happens, but I'm super excited. I can't wait for you guys to see it. The artwork's great. The story's great. It's going to be a heck of a ride, and I can guarantee you it has more twists and turns than 2020 will ever be able to bring at us. And it's going to keep you on your feet. So I look forward to chatting with you guys. I'll be live again Sunday with another creator interview. And so definitely like, share, subscribe, and check out Ed's work. Everybody have a great night. Thank you very much for being here. I'll see you guys later.